I wanted to hate Dune. I wanted to hate everything about it with a passion. When I heard all the buzz Dune Part 2 was getting, I thought it was a bunch of BS. I mean, you couldn't go more than two scrolls on TikTok without someone comparing Dune Part 2 to The Godfather Part 2, or even Empire Strikes Back. Seriously, it was getting ridiculous. Everywhere you looked, left and right, people were glazing the shit out of Dune 2. I'm not dumb. I saw the cast and the creatives behind it, and I thought, sure, it's gotta be good, but Empire Strikes Back good? Come on. I originally had never seen 2021's Dune Part 1, as I thought it was another okay adaptation of a classic sci fi novel. I had no reason to see Part 1. But after all this hype surrounding Part 2, it was almost like a decision had been made for me. It was time for me to watch Dune Part 1. So I grabbed one of my friends, got some food, and huddled around the TV in my dorm room. I had hate in my eyes. I was ready to call out any flaws in the plot, poor special effects, bad acting. I understand I was watching Dune Part 1, and the hype for Dune is surrounding Part 2 mostly, but still, I wanted to go against the crowd in any way that I could. Then, Space Game of Thrones happened. I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan, so when I saw noble houses vying for power and alliances forming in Dune, I was hooked. This isn't me saying that Dune copied Game of Thrones, as I know Frank Herbert's novel Dune came out in 1965, when George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire was published later in 1996. But man, let me tell you, Space Game of Thrones is awesome. The Harkonnens' ambush on House Atreides was straight out of the Red Wedding. Leto's death was the equivalent of Ned Stark's. Much like the earlier seasons of Game of Thrones, when the Lannisters were curb-stomping the Starks, the Harkonnens were destroying the Atreides in this movie. Anyways, these themes of betrayal and chaos got my attention. The rest of the movie was a wild ride, start to finish, with insane world building that just sucks you in. I remember stopping the movie at different points, trying to make sure I understood the lore and the universe. Every little detail felt meticulously crafted and thoughtfully adapted from the original novel. Denis did such a great job with the realism in his adaptation. Simple changes like making the shields blue when the user is safe and red when they are in danger are brilliant. It makes the technology and world so much easier to understand for the audience. And also, he creates a universe that feels real and something that could exist thousands of years in the future. And then Part 2 happened. As if I couldn't get any more excited for the second Dune movie, I was seeing these edits of Paul Atreides on TikTok.
Silence.
Consider what you're about to do, Paul Atreides.
That not make you hype for the movie. And then on top of that, you're telling me we get Florence Pugh as Space Princess Leia? Sold. Within the span of 24 hours, I went from hating Dune to trying to find tickets as soon as possible to go see the second one. And trust me, every muscle, every bone inside my body aches when I say it's that fucking good. It might be on Empire Strikes Back level. I absolutely loved the second movie. I mean, I can speak on the cast, the score, the visual effects, but I'm sure you've heard it all before. In Part 1 and 2, Timothée Chalamet and Rebecca Ferguson are complete standouts. Chalamet does a great job of portraying an inexperienced Paul in the first movie, who's ready to take the next step. We see such a different portrayal and such a different character in the second movie than the first movie. Likewise, Rebecca Ferguson was a powerhouse as Lady Jessica. In the second movie specifically, she had so many micro expressions where you can just see like the subtle evil and her satisfaction of getting what she wants. Also, I mean, Austin Butler. I'm arguably a bigger Austin Butler hater than I am a Dune hater. I don't know. I'm not the biggest Austin Butler guy, but he does steal the show. He really does. The thing to me is I absolutely love the universe that is adapted from the novel to the screen. I just love this universe as created. This whole idea of fighting with swords and there being a reason behind it. The shields protect them from bullets and make guns useless. I love the technology. There's a fight scene in the second movie where Paul and the Fremen are trying to take down a ship trying to harvest spice. And the whole sequence is just beautiful. The stakes are high. I love the diversity of fighting on the ground with swords. And then in the sky, there's an ornithopter shooting down on the Fremen. I don't know. I was never cultured about the Dune universe. And this adaptation has really opened my mind to the universe. I mean, seriously, this universe of Dune and this world and environment and characters is really up there with things like Star Wars and Harry Potter and, other big famous universes. My favorite part about Dune 2 is that you're able to live with these characters. The biggest downfall of the new Star Wars trilogy was each movie felt different, and the characters didn't feel consistent from movie to movie. They felt like three different sets of characters. And in Dune 2, you get a chance to just live with these characters, and they feel like the same characters we saw in the first movie. $165 million was the budget for part one, and $190 million was the budget for part two, which, don't get me wrong, is a ridiculous amount of money. But compared to the budgets of some other recent films and TV shows, you're astonished at what they were able to do with it. So yeah, I guess I have now become the thing I swore to destroy. I'm glazing Dune. And to make things worse, I'm making this video. I'm interested now. I'm doing research. I'm waiting for another Dune movie to get announced. I'm trying to learn about the history and about what's next. So if you were like me and on the fence about Dune, don't make the same mistake. Put aside your pride and give it a watch. I know, but trust me, it's worth it.